YouTube community, Vince Guaraldi fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens. We're here today to talk about the brand new release from Vince Guaraldi, You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, played at 45 RPM speed. It's the first Zoetrope vinyl for Vince Guaraldi and from the Peanuts gang here, and I just want to say for anybody who doesn't want to watch this entire video, which you should, the record sounds fantastic. I know a lot of Zoetropes don't sound great because you're basically putting a picture on top of the record, and that can kind of stifle the fidelity of the record itself, like the richness, the textures, the high end, and kind of muffle the mid-range. But this thing sounds wonderful. You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown. I don't really know how, like, quote-unquote, well-remembered this one is, this TV special. Obviously, if you grew up back in the 70s and 80s, you probably saw it on TV pretty frequently. You know, for me, like, growing up in the 90s, I didn't see this one on TV too much as a kid. So it was one of those ones that was like an outlier for me. Like, you know, growing up, they always showed the holiday ones on TV the most. Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving. Those ones always got aired out. And Easter Beagle to some degree. But the other ones, I feel like you had to pick them up on videos, or eventually the DVD collections came out with all of them on there, which was really cool. Yeah, saving up my allowance money for VHS tapes back in the day. This was not one that I had. But I love the music on this thing because it feels like the most sophisticated jazz motocross racing music you've ever heard. It's like you just see yourself barreling down this dirt path as these ARP synths are glistening over the top of it, and then the rumble of the engine is that bass and that drum happening. It's a really cool vibe. It's a short album, I'll give it that. There isn't a whole lot of music on this thing compared to other releases where, like, you know, all of side 2, most of it's motocross reprises, which is really cool. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. The opening track on here, Motocross, is a really wonderful representation of that cycling experience. As I said earlier, that big fat fuzzy bass almost creates like this engine growl, and then you got this tinkling keys and this glowing ARP synth that just sounds like magic. It sounds like you've got this confidence, you've got this like victory lap mentality that, like, you can do this, you can win, you can keep going, keep chugging along. The horn sounds that punch throughout this thing as well also give off this euphoric confidence as you're racing to the finish line. But it's a really cool groove of a song. That bass just holds it down the entire time. That repeated rhythm. Dun, 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 dun. It sounds very of its time, very 70s, but I dig that because, you know, Vince was always looking for new sounds and textures, and this is one of those records where he just dove head first into playing with his new toys. And I like that because you hear that creativity, you hear that fun, you hear that spark of genius where he was like, oh, what can I do with this? How can I make this sound like this? And it wasn't just another, like, Peanuts special for him with the piano and drums and the bass. He was like, let me play with the clavinet, let me play with the the drum machine, let me see what else I can do with this stuff. And Motocross is a great representation of the record. Peppermint Patty continues having that glowing string ARP synth on top of it. It's elegant, it's sophisticated. The piano noodling on this thing is well executed as well, and the brushes on the snare make for a really warm, just comfy sounding song, and the synth bleats at the end kind of bring it back to the 70s again, because it kind of feels a little old school before going back to the synth bleats, and that happens frequently throughout this record. Like, just when you think you've got it figured out, the synth will pop up and it is 1975 after all. And that goes for the title track here with You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, Center Court. So there was an original You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, which is on side B, and that original cue, which was unused for the show for some reason, is wonderful. I love the climbing bass on that version, the rich, powerful, punchy piano stabs, the funky drums underneath it all, and again, the synth ending. But it's just a wonderful little piece of music, and you gotta wonder why they changed their game plan for this one, because it would have made a great title track. That being said, we'll jump back to side 1 with Fanfare. There's an alternate take of Fanfare, Hospital Scene with a bonus cut of Hospital Scene, and these are really quick little brief segments, but you hear them talking and be like, you know what, we should end it with at the end, and not a long one, but a short one. So it's cool to hear them kind of goofing around and figuring out how the song goes in the recording, which leads into Bass Blues, which again, kind of a short little track, but real heavy. Like, this thing is just guttural. I dig it a lot. Linus and Lucy, one of Vince's favorite tricks is to take the bridge of Linus and Lucy, like the original one you remember from the 60s, and then completely turn it on its head and make it into a whole other song. And this one actually goes on for quite a long time. This is one of the longer versions of Linus and Lucy that is on one of these records. And then you end with another reprise of Motocross, which, don't worry, you get your fill on side 2, because not only do you have 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 4 more reprises. No, there's 5. There's 5 more reprises of Motocross. But they're cool because each one is slightly different from the next. So it makes for a fun listen as you have it on. You're not sitting there going, oh man, it's the same song again. Like, they're just different enough to keep your attention. I really dig the Great Pumpkin Waltz, which is used strategically in the show when they shove the pumpkin on Charlie Brown's head. But that was one of Vince's favorite cuts, was the Great Pumpkin Waltz. So very cool to have that reprised on here. And then another reprise of You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown. The last 4 songs on this record are from a little short, or whatever you want to call it, called Bicycles Are Beautiful, that was done in 1974. So again, title track, Bicycles Are Beautiful, Bicycle Ballad, Bicycle Bounce, Bicycle Wizard. And these really blend well with the rest of the cuts on this record. It's got that same sort of energy, that same sort of like engine hum kind of feel, and they work seamlessly. If you hadn't told me these songs weren't part of the special, I wouldn't have known, because they really blend perfectly into the rest of the songs. This record was made at Wally Heider Studios on Hyde Street in San Francisco, California, September 12, 18, and 19, 1975. Vince plays piano, electric piano, clavinet, ARP string ensemble, and the Rhythm Ace drum machine, Seward McCain on bass, Mark Rosengarten on drums, and John Scott Schroeder, music supervisor. But this is a great little set. Here's the back cover here with Snoopy as Joe Motocross. And let me show you the booklet. So as always, nice full color booklets with pictures and excellent essays from the guys, the Mendelson brothers and Derek Bang. I love this picture. That's so cool. Vince looking groovy. And just in case you're unfamiliar how zoetropes work, they put a sticker on the inside of the inner sleeve here with a QR code and some app ideas if you want to download an app to see this thing in action. But it's just a beautiful looking record with so many different images to get moving on there. I mean, the B-side label of Charlie Brown with the pumpkin head, it's just perfect. It's exactly what should be there. For what this record is, it's a lot of fun. It's not the most expansive release they've put out so far, just because there wasn't a whole lot done for this record. A lot of it is just the song Motocross, repeated in different versions over and over again because they race so much. Whereas other specials, you can have 12 different songs because each scene was something different. But, you know, this was about racing, so there was a lot of racing in this one. So, not too many differences. That said, good on these guys for making the Zoetrope record sound wonderful, because some of these things just sound so flat and so lifeless. But for those of you worried about it, this sounds great. It's okay to pick it up. You won't be disappointed by it. And trying to get it to work is a little tricky. I'm going to download an app, I think, myself to make it work, because trying to do it under light and get the timing right, the speed right, it wasn't exactly working for me. But there's great videos online of people who have perfected it, including on the Lee Mendelson Film Productions team Instagram. Check that one out. You can see a great video of them using it in action. But yeah, it's a fun release. It's one of my favorite album covers they've done so far. I think they just came out so cool. Excellent colors, nice, bright, simple, and happy. Love it. So thanks again to the Mendelson brothers and everybody at Lee Mendelson Film Productions for sending this copy over. I love spreading the word about these records. They're fun, they're creative, they sound great. With that, I'm probably going to give this thing like a 7 or a light 8 out of 10, only because I wish that there was more recorded for it, that's all. But for what it is, it's a wonderful listen, top-notch skill, and I love hearing Vince play with different textures and different instruments because he was such a creative guy. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Giggens. This has been You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, Vince Guaraldi, and team. Thanks for watching. Pick this thing up. It comes out July 11th, 2025. Available at your local retailers and record stores and online. Wherever you want to go pick one up. Absolutely recommended. So thanks for watching. My name is Giggens. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.